psychologist, I wanted to give you a very short little study on physiological psychology. When you're actually making associations, you are stimulating your brain and exercising it, which just makes it stronger. So I want to tell you the components of what is exactly happening to your brain when you're practicing the method of making associations. The first part, when you're linking one item to the next, left to right, and your eyes are moving left to right, that's actually starting to get the synapse in your brain, which is kind of like, let's say, a squirrel, and a neuron would be like a little branch. So the squirrel's getting excited, and it's getting ready to jump. So when you go left to right, your synapse is getting excited. When you link the two items together by an action verb, and then you re-see the picture, you're actually making the synapse fire. So it's like a squirrel's jump to one tree branch to another, making connections. So when your synapse fires, you're releasing more neurons in your brain, which is actually making new neural branches. It's like a new cell growth of your brain, which medical research has found that it does substantiate what I've been saying for 20 years, is our brain can regenerate from existing live cells through methods of stimulation and association. And then in the last part, where you're recalling the information, that's just continuing to make the synapse fire and more neurons be absorbed. And what you're doing is you're making connections, neural connections. So a lot of us all have lots of memory and we have lots of neurons, and as we get older, the old method was to say that we had a certain amount of neurons and that was it. Well, that's absolutely not true. As we continue to live and grow, our brains can continue to strengthen and get better and continue to grow and make new neural branches from existing live cells. So you don't have to get old and lose your memory. You can continue to age and increase your memory and your vitality. One of the other things they found is that through studies, even with rats in a maze, when they took rats and they put the rats in a very enriched environment, kind of like Disneyland for the rats, they'd have mazes and they'd have different kinds of cheeses and nutritional components and wheels, that the rats were thinner, stronger, more alert, and happier. So just in the same way that animals, a rat or mice, they respond in the same way that we do. We want to keep up with exercise. We want to stay in rich, stimulating environments. We want to eat proper nutrition and have a good support system of loved ones and family and friends. And that helps keep our attitude sharp too. So there's no reason why we shouldn't continue every day of our life to just grow and get better and better. I'd like to give another little example of how we can practice the memory system. So let's talk about health. Let's have health is the first part on our list. And how about money, having enough money, having good relationships, having enough time, and being able to have good communication. I think these are things or goals that would be important really for everybody. So to maintain our health, we can see ourselves practicing the memory system. You could also see yourself using barbells to do physical exercise as well as our mental exercise. Then for being able to have enough money, maybe we could see gold cubes in the bank with our name on it, or anything else that comes to you. Maybe stacks of bills, maybe your tax returns by the end of the year, maybe fancy cars, or maybe the wealth can be just wonderful friends and family. Third, we had good relationships, right? So you could see a man and a woman, or a man and a pet, or a person with their family. And because we want to see only one item, let's imagine it as a photo album. So we just see a picture of a happy family. Next, we have time. We want to have more time to enjoy ourselves. So imagine maybe laying on a hammock at the beach, right, for more time, or a grandfather clock, or father time. You can see an hourglass turned upside down. And for good relationships or good communication, maybe you could see two telephones with the receivers, so people are actually listening to each other. So again, we can use the same thing of making our associations. We start from left to right, so we start with ourselves. We're visualizing, we're practicing the memory system and seeing ourselves working out with the barbells, right? Then we have the barbells, and maybe the barbells are putting up stacks of money or gold bricks. The gold bricks could be falling onto the family album or hugging the family album. The family album could be turning over the hourglass to represent more time. And the hourglass could be picking up the telephone and dialing a friend. So do you see those pictures? Okay, so we have you and the barbell and the money, stacking the money. We have the money and the relationships, right? So the money was hugging the album. Then we have the album turning over the hourglass. And the hourglass is picking up the phone and dialing a friend. Now in this way, instead of just having a list, we're using this for goals. Some psychologists say that if you want to make a new habit, you have to visualize something 21 times a day and for 21 days. So every morning in your mind you can see yourself working out in some way, both your mind and your body. You could visualize what financial goals you have for the end of the year and visualize and see that over and over in your mind. You can see yourself having good relationships with people who you're most fond of, or maybe even someone new that you haven't met that you're looking forward to meeting. You can see the hourglass to represent more time, time for yourself, time with who's important to you. And the last part of good effective communication, because we know how important that is, to make sure that we're heard clearly, other people heard, and that there's a good exchange between the two of us. So one of the things I'd like you to do at home is make a list of goals that you would like to do. And next we're going to learn the sounds like method so that you can learn to take a piece of information and make it tangible.